Good.
So good morning, everybody. I want to talk about something that affects every single person in this room, and me especially. Now, I'm of course talking about rising college tuition, something that I think we all hate and aren't looking forward to. I really thought this would be a good topic because I don't like spending more money than I have to, especially when I don't think I'm getting a whole lot out of it. I don't think PSU's graduation rates have gotten any better. So what I specifically wanted to mention are how much is college tuition rising, where the money is going, a couple solutions, and finally, what those solutions would entail. So if you all look at your graphs that I handed out, those are just showing the numbers for how much college tuition has been increasing since the 80s. I have a couple numbers. So for Mann Sobel's, the escalating cost of college tuition has almost doubled at least 3 times and has been outpacing inflation greatly. Now, if you don't know what inflation is just how much the average price of a good is increasing by every year. And so for a specific number from Mitchell Franklin's Student Loans, The Next Bubble from the CPA Journal, inflation is generally rising at about 3% per year, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. However, college tuition is rising at 8%, so more than double what it should be rising at. Now, why would it be rising this much? Well, as you can see, there are 2 costs, and they come from Timothy Slapper's Onward and Upward with the cost of college. So there are internal costs. These come from inside the school. And they always follow what he calls Bowen's rule. So Bowen's rule just means that colleges are trying to look as prestigious as possible. But to do that, they need your money, and a lot of it. So generally these things go towards increasing teacher pay. Now they're increasing teacher pay because they want the best professors as possible at their school. If they don't, the best professors get more recognized, which means the school gets recognized, which means they get more students coming, which means more money. Another thing that generally they take your money for are sports programs. Now, I don't think PSU has a notable football team, or any notable team. Sorry if you're a fan, I really am. But other colleges, say like U of O or OSU, they have nationally recognized sports programs. And so the more money they put into that, the more recognized they get, which means they get more money. Now, of course, there are also escalating costs. And the most basic escalating cost is that you have to pay people for a job. I don't know if you know that. If they don't, well, there's probably some criminal charges there somewhere, and that's not any fun. So moving forward, here are just a couple solutions. Now, the first one is the easiest solution. Call your state representative. I don't know how many people you live here or from out of state, just have a different representative, but you should call them. They have the power to create new legislation in order to stop rising tuition. Now, they can do things like either A, they can set a limit on how much they're allowed to increase tuition per year. So instead of 8%, we could see something more like what inflation actually is, 3%. Or they could set a price ceiling. Now, if you don't know what a price ceiling is, a price ceiling just says this is the maximum you're allowed to charge somebody for something. So instead of the $9,000 per year, we could see a max of just $8,500, which would save us all a lot of money. And finally, you can go to a cheaper school or convince somebody else to go to a cheaper school. Because at the end of the day, this is just a giant business. You are paying for a service, and if that service isn't good, you should be going somewhere else. Somewhere that will treat you right. Now, obviously, that means community college, which means we're all shit out of luck because we're here. So, you can always convince other people to go to. And eventually, they're going to have to lower prices. Because if it turns out that all people are only coming here for their junior and senior year, they're losing a large chunk of money. They charge $9,000 per year. So if they're going to say community college for a third of the cost, that's about $6,000 they're losing, which is a lot of money. Now, what would happen if we did these things? Well, tuition growth could be lessened, meaning that when they inevitably raise costs for next year, it won't be as much. Or they won't grow at all, which is even better, because when they have a price point on the front page of the PSU website, if you go at the bottom, it says it's $9,105 per year. But that's not really true if it's increasing. It keeps increasing. So that's honestly best case scenario. Another great action that comes from this is we have to borrow less money. I don't know how many people have student loans by show of hands. All right, apparently some of you are really rich or just really smart. But for those of us who have to borrow, this is great, because I don't like having to pay back money for the rest of my life, and I'm sure the people here at our don't want to either. Okay, so in conclusion, this is an awful situation, and I don't like paying more money than I have to, but we do have a couple solutions, and many more that I didn't go over. But if I want to leave you guys with anything, just please call your representatives. Tell them that this is a problem. Because the louder our voice is, the more easily change can be effected. And here are my fancy sources. Thank you for listening.